I want you to listen to what I'm about to say with the utmost urgency. Michael Saylor has completely and utterly changed the game with this week's Bitcoin purchases. In my opinion, this has taken, to get to this point, years upon years upon years, and they finally did it. I want to congratulate every single person that is on the strategy team working for us shareholders to acquire as much Bitcoin as fast as humanly possible. I want to thank each and every single one of them for their dedication, for their thinking, for their ability to execute, for their ability to build a team of people who understand the mission and a team of people who are willing to execute at the highest possible level. Michael Saylor has changed what and how strategy will be viewed as in this market. Let's cover very quickly what they did, and I want to go into exactly what I think is going to happen. But first, I need you to subscribe to the channel, because if you've wondered what is the difference between MSTR, what is the difference between STRK, what is the difference between STRF, what is the difference between STRD, the new one that they launched? Well, my next video is going to cover all of that. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on that. And if you're on X, then follow along. And again, the message is extremely important. As you know, there's only 21 million Bitcoin, which means you got to get to 1 Bitcoin as quick as possible, or as many Bitcoin as you need for your family as quick as possible. And I got to get this message out there, so I need your help to spank the algorithms to get this message out there. And the faster you subscribe, the faster they'll get the message out there. But how has Michael Saylor completely changed this game? It's very, very important and nuanced. Up until now, they moved the company to a Bitcoin treasury company. People like me said, I believe this vision. I understand what's going on. Bitcoiner, great. I can see what this is going to happen here in 2020. We bought on day one or in that first year. Then what happened is they said, okay, we're going to sell some shares into the open market after they pivoted the whole shareholder base, right? They pivoted the whole shareholder base. And then they said, we're going to sell some shares into the market. We're going to turn that premium that we see in the market into more Bitcoin, which is going to pump the share price as the price of Bitcoin goes up. That was the next step. Then he said, I'm going to sell some convertible bonds. I'm going to raise some money selling convertible bonds on MicroStrategy, which is like a call option for a bond buyer. And he started getting some capital like that. Then he said, I want a big permission from shareholders to sell ATMs and bonds. And he sold, shareholders approved 2121, which was $21 billion worth of ATM, $21 billion worth of converts. They sold $3 billion worth of converts, and they sold $21 billion worth of ATM inside of 3 months. Then he went back to shareholders and said, we want to do more. And shareholders said, absolutely, at least the ones that understand. The morons on X, they're a different story. But the ones that understand, the people that said yes, go ahead, get it done. Acquire as much Bitcoin as fast as humanly possible, please. Strategy is the biggest, baddest wolf in the game, and they will continue to be. Why? Because first mover advantage. This is the one thing I don't get about people jumping from Bitcoin treasury company to Bitcoin treasury company. The first mover advantage is critical, and strategy has it. None of these other people have it. Yes, everyone's talking about right now, okay, so we have the ability to increase from week to week how much Bitcoin we own. Oh yes, we have the days to double the amount of Bitcoin. Yeah, I can double Bitcoin from 100 to 200 as well. I want to see you when you get to 580, 600,000 Bitcoin, and then we'll see who the real baddest, biggest, baddest wolf in the game is. So, and by the way, I'm Team Saylor, in case it isn't obvious. And of course, I'm biased, I'm a shareholder, right? Now, so then they got the lift on that. 2121 turned into 4242, right? And then they started launching these products, these STRK, STRF, fixed income products, preferred products. And people started going, what the hell is this now? Because nobody wants to take this convertible debt. You've only sold, it's only gotten rid of $3 billion of it out of the 21 or 42 now. What the hell are these products? Why are they interesting? How come this is out in the markets? No one really believed, except Michael Saylor and the team at Strategy. They clearly knew what the plan was here and what they were going to do with it. And so what have they done? Well, yesterday or this week, for the first time, they bought 700 something Bitcoin last week. And zero of the dollars raised to buy that Bitcoin came from selling the ATM, the shares of Strategy into the open market, which has been putting a downward pressure on the price. Now, I know they say we don't go in and we don't sell shares into the market on a down day. It would be silly of them to do that. But, and of course, this is not exactly how it's being played out, but the effect is still the same. If there's a bunch of buy orders coming in, which is when they're selling the stock, the ATM, if there's a bunch of buy orders coming in, and you're selling into that as Strategy, well then if you zero that out, well then the only orders left in the market are sell orders. So there was downward pressure, which I believe, by the way, is why the convertible bonds have not been shifting. Because if you're a convertible bond holder, you're like, well, I'll just wait until the downside pressure on the stock is done. Because why would I want to take a convertible bond right now when I can just wait until the share price is done, the sell pressure is lifted, there's no more ATMs, and then there's upside vol, because ATMs are volatility dampening, right? So why would I, as a convertible bond trader, want to take those bonds? I wouldn't. I would want to wait until the ATMs are done, and then I can get into some convertible bonds. Except this week, for the first time, 0 Bitcoin was bought using ATM sales on MSTR. In fact, they only bought Bitcoin from STRK sales and STRF sales. And what that means is that if you have a short position on MSTR common stock, i.e. MSTR, you probably got a little bit of brown running down your legs right now. Because what he's just proven is he can start to scale Bitcoin purchases with 0 ATMs on the MSTR common stock, which means you've got unlimited upside potential while continuing to accrue Bitcoin from the fixed income product. This is a monumental game-changing moment for MSTR. And people are not giving it as much credit. And of course, they've just launched Stride now, STRD. And they've now got close to the total gambit of products they need to attack the fixed income markets around the world. By the way, these are $300 trillion markets. And he's had to use the ATM and the downward pressure on MSTR stock to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible to legitimize the offerings of STRK, STRF, and STRD. Because now it is the biggest, baddest player in the game and no one can catch up with them. Oh, your name is Jack Mollers? Good luck. Oh, your name is Simon from Japan? Good luck. And even though I invested in Nakamoto, your name is David Bailey. Good luck. Right? We have the biggest Bitcoin pot. And that means something when you are offering debt, when you are offering fixed income products, because the quantity and the size of the investment is going to matter in the long term to this fixed income market. They will choose the best and the biggest. And remember who the buyers of those converts have been. You're talking about Allianz, right? You're talking about big insurance companies that are buying these, but they're not going to go for anyone else. They're going to go for the biggest. And that is Strategy. But this move proves that you can scale these fixed income products, generate ATM on those products, let the share price of MSTR rocket to the upside, which, by the way, increases the implied volatility on MSTR. which then makes, this is the part that I want to see what happens next. Because if the implied volatility on MSTR is going north, then the convertible bonds should be way more interesting today than they were on Friday. Because if I'm a convertible bond trader, I want upside volatility. I want any volatility. I just don't want the volatility to be sideways. And Saylor has figured out, I assume he already knew what they were doing here, to get this to happen, to force vol to the upside. And then, by the way, when the vol is too high, you've got to keep the stock interesting, so the vol starts to flatten out. Guess what you do? You hit the ATM on the MSTR again, right? You keep the market guessing, because that is what keeps the stock interesting. And interesting is the word that Michael Saylor has been using. And when he kept saying interesting months ago, I said, watch out, he's saying interesting. Now, what does interesting mean to a stock? To a stock, interesting means up, down, just not sideways. And that's what they're doing here. They figured out how to get this stock to go up, they figured out how to get this stock to go down, and they figured out how to keep the stock interesting for the markets. And ultimately, they will, not yet, that's next. Ultimately, for strategy, they will continue to buy Bitcoin. They will continue to stack Bitcoin for me, for shareholders. And that's exactly what I expect them to do. I expect them to always have more Bitcoin than anyone else. And here's what I think is going to happen for all of these products, this platform that Michael Saylor and the team is building here. There's not just one product here. MSTR, STRK, STRF, STRD now, right? All of these products, and if you want to know what all of these products and who they're for and whatever, subscribe to the channel because I got that video coming out next. But all of these products are for different markets, and all of these products are focused on different pools of capital within the fixed income market and obviously the equity market with MSTR. MSTR is a growth company, and the world is about to see how fast growth can happen when you are powered by the engine of Bitcoin. Because here's what I think the next strategy is going to be for strategy. The next strategy for strategy is take this platform, and if you think MetaPlanet is winning right now because they're basically every single equity under the umbrella of Bitcoin for the Japanese markets right now, and there's capital controls in Japan which prevent people from investing in US markets, wait and see what happens when strategy goes and lists this platform of 4 products in Japan, in Europe, in Brazil, in every other market where there are, in India. All they got to do is go list them, right? Just feeder funds. List them in those markets and suck capital out of those markets into the biggest, baddest player in the American markets. And I guarantee you investors are going to go, yeah, I want the one with the 700,000 Bitcoin, the 800,000 Bitcoin, the 900,000 Bitcoin, the 1 million Bitcoin. I want the biggest, baddest player. Right now, there's games going on about who can, buy more Bitcoin in the next 90 days and all this other stuff. And that's cool. It's a good trading arb. But if you're watching my videos, what we've been talking about is what can you hold forever? And in that environment, if right now you are not paying attention to what Strategy and Michael Saylor and the team at Strategy are doing, you are going to kick yourself. But ultimately, there's always only 3 rules to Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you get fabulously wealthy.